It's your boy Tom back here with another video, and in this video today, guys, we're going to be going over and ranking our top 10 shooting guards in NBA 2K24 MyTEAM. Obviously, today is highlighted, and I gotta talk about him. Highlighted by the Diamond Paul George that came out today, who is absolutely incredible. I'm a big fan of Paul George. Now I'm trying to get him to do a gameplay of him at the time I am recording this, so we'll see what happens. I just really don't want to spend the 245,000 MT on the card because there's no like 50k challenge like there was for MJ. With him, it's basically you're gonna lose out on a lot of MT, and so I really don't want to have to do that. Obviously, he's not number 10. Starting us off at number 10 is Eddie Johnson. And as we dive into talking about Eddie Johnson, if you are new to the channel, make sure to smash that subscribe button and like the video. Helps me out a ton, and I really just do appreciate you guys and your support. Eddie Johnson, 6'7", 6'7", wingspan, hotspots from 4 out of 5 places around the arc, 83 ball, 84 speed, 81 lateral quickness. Defensively, really solid, can knock down shots at a really high level. There's just really no flaws in Eddie Johnson. He's an all-around shooting guard in my team. When I get him, am I going to run him? No, because I've got Brandon Roy, I've got MJ, and hopefully sooner rather than later I'll get PG as well. But Eddie Johnson, nonetheless, solid if you do get him for free. You absolutely can run him and don't have to think twice about it. At my number 9, we're plugging in Amethyst Showtime Vince Carter. Now, Vince and I have a love-hate relationship. I've loved him in past years. This year, I only used him for like a week on the No Money Spent. I don't want to sit here and say he was bad because he was fine, but he just wasn't quite as good as I thought he would be. And I don't really even know how to describe it because when I look at the card, he should be absolutely elite. His stats are elite. His badges are elite. I just think it comes down to his release being on that little slow side of things. I think that's the biggest downfall for Vince when there is a downfall. He dunks on everybody. He can attack the rim. Defensively, he's actually pretty decent stat-wise. I'm a firm believer it's his release, just being that little bit slow, especially compared to even like a Dr. J, right, who we'll talk about here in a short amount of time. I think, Vince is a worse version of Dr. J, I think is the best way to put it. Obviously, Vince has a higher 3-ball. Dr. J is going to attack the rim better, but I think stat-wise, they're relatively comparable. At my number 8, Amethyst Zach Lavine. Now, this card's not talked about a ton, and if you're wondering why, well, he is not cheap. Okay, he is, I think, 140,000 MT, and nobody really wants to lock in for Blake Griffin. 86 3-ball, 85 speed, 95 driving dunk. The difference between a guy like a Zach Lavine and a guy like Vince Carter is this. Stat-wise, Vince Carter blows Zach Lavine out of the water, especially defensively. But offensively speaking, Lavine's release is better, Lavine's movement better. Lavine has an absolutely incredible release. And I don't use this card. I won't use this card because even if I had him, his defense is not great. But offensively speaking, he gives you something a little bit different at that shooting guard position. Can be that primary ball handler. Has a great release to go along with it. I'm a fan of Zach Lavine. I got really no problem with him. The problem I would have if I ran him would be on the defensive end of the court because offensively, you can't really say anything bad about this card. He's got a great release, great stats, great badges. I think if you're having an opinion on his offense, it's that he's one of the best shooting guards in the entire game. Coming in at my number 7, we're plugging in Amethyst Showtime Julius Erving. Now let's talk about him compared to Vince. Julius Erving 6'7", Vince is only 6'6". Dr. J's defense, in my opinion, is way better than Vince's as well. Vince obviously has a higher 3-ball, but it's crazy because with Dr. J's release, I think it's relatively similar as far as who is the better overall shooter. Now, I'm not saying, comparing their stats. I'm saying because Dr. J has a better release, I think it's relatively similar shooting the ball. And stat-wise, Dr. J is one of the best shooting guards in the entire game. Can handle the ball, can dunk on anybody. Defensively is off the charts good. I don't want to sit here and hype this card up too much because at this stage, I just think he is getting to be a little bit outdated. But for his time was absolutely incredible. His price has went down. Is he worth getting for the price of 116,000 MT? No, he is still not worth getting for that price. If he continues to go down, maybe eventually, you can make the case he's worth it. But as it stands right now, not worth getting in my team. If you have him though, and let's say you're running him, you can still run him. I don't have an issue with that. I just would not buy him at this stage. At my number 6 at the shooting guard position is Diamond Collector level Gordon Hayward. a card who most of you guys watching this video probably don't have, but I still do want to talk about and touch on Gordon Hayward. Okay, that sounded bad, but anyways, 36 base badges on current gen. Next gen probably has more. 89 3-ball, decent driving dunk, decent playmaking, 85 speed, 85 lateral quickness. Here's the thing with Gordon Hayward. He can do a little bit of everything. Attack the rim, playmake, defensively. He just does a little bit of everything. My whole favorite thing is the Hall of Fame off-ball pass. Back cuts are I don't know, one of the bigger topics this year in 2K, just because everybody was so mad about him last year and they got more overpowered. But his Hall of Fame off-ball pass combined with his size, super important. And shooting the ball, he's absolutely elite. I do think his release, especially when compared to like Julius Erving or Zach Lavine, isn't quite as good as those guys, but it's fine. It's not bad. You can use it and still have a lot of success with Gordon Hayward. And if I had him, would I run him? Probably not, just because, again, there are better shooting guards in my team. But if you are at collector level and you got Gordon Hayward, you could make the debate. He's a top 3 or so shooting guard in the entire game. At my number 5, Amethyst Devon Booker. And I'm already knowing there's going to be specific Gordon Hayward stands out there that are so mad at me right now that I have D-Book in my top 5. What I would ask you is this. If your point guard is Magic Johnson, if your point guard is Dwayne Wade, if your point guard is a pure lock, you have to have a guy that can make some plays. And D-Book is one of the best primary ball handlers in the game. So how am I going to exclude him from the top 5? I know defensively he's not great, but offensively, he is probably the best offensive player, if not top 3 in the entire game. He's that good. D-Book based on quick, D-Book leaner, has great shooting badges, including the Hall of Fame blinders, great playmaking badges. I just don't get how anybody could not like Devon Booker in my team. When I look at this card, there's nothing he can't do on the court. So how am I supposed to sit here and not hype him up? I love everything Devon Booker is about. If you run him, you're going to want to run a point guard that can defend at an elite level, though. At my number 4, complete opposite is Trace McGrady. Trace McGrady is not a primary in my team. What do I mean by that? He should not be running your offense. He should not be the primary ball handler, which is why a lot of people don't like Trace McGrady, is because when they locked him in, they expected him to be able to handle the ball. It's not what he gives you. What he gives you is an absolute marksman from the three-point line and a really solid defensive player in my team that can get a lot of badges. The best part about T-Mac is his size. He is 6'8". I know a lot of people are probably like, Ty, you're hyping him up defensively, but he doesn't look the part. He's 6'8", guys. What is there not to like about the card? 6'8", 85 speed, 82 lateral quickness, and again, it all starts with his catch and shoot ability on the court. I locked in for T-Mac. Do I play him? Not at this moment, and I'll explain why here in a second. But if you locked him in and didn't grind for last year's ultimate reward, I don't want to say his name, or if you don't have, MJ, you're gonna be fine running T-Mac. He's got size at the 2. He's got good versatility. Gonna knock down open shots. Can be that secondary ball handler. He is just fine at that shooting guard position if that's who you guys are running. At my number 3, Diamond Brandon Roy. And it pains me to put him at number 3 because I love this card. This card starts for me and my squad because I love his offense. Defensively, he's absolutely elite. One of the most complete cards in the game. Problem is, there's just getting to be better and better cards overall, and Brandon Roy is only 6'6". Now, remember the only 6'6" part, because when I get to talking about my number 1, that's going to be a big deal. Now, for Brandon Roy, 86 3-ball, 88 speed, 88 lateral quickness, his defense, considering you can get every badge in the game, is low-key slept on. I feel like everybody with Brandon Roy thinks about his shooting ability, thinks about the offense, but nobody really talks about his defense. Even compares defensive stats to Devon Booker, it's not even really a comparison. That's my favorite part about Brandon Roy. When I got him, I was kind of 50 with the card. At this stage, I don't miss with him. I'm a big Brandon Roy stan in my team. Nobody is going to talk me away from that. At my number 2, we're plugging in Diamond Michael Jordan, who, I mean, look, you could buy the card, you grind out the challenge, you get a lot of your MT back. I have no issue if you bought Michael Jordan. I bought Michael Jordan on both accounts. You just got to make sure you sell him before the 3 weeks is up. There's no flaws in Michael Jordan outside of his release. That's the only flaw with Michael Jordan. And when I say his release, it's not like his release is ungreenable, because you can green with it. It's just pretty baited and pretty slow. And I feel like that turns a lot of people away from the card, which I fully get and understand, because I've been using Michael Jordan, and his release, you got to be wide open to shoot it. Now, I will say, if you are wide open, it is a release you should not miss with. But again, it is hard to get open. So, I mean, outside of that, again, attacking the rim, he's going to be fantastic. Defensively, one of the best defensive players in the entire game. And my favorite part about Michael Jordan is his total badge count. And this is the current gen badges. And he's got what? When you do the math, over 50 base badges. That's ridiculous. When you think about it, how many other cards have over 50 base badges? Not many. That's what makes Michael Jordan so good. His versatility on the court. He can play defense. He can attack the rim. He can be your primary ball handler if you really want him to be, because he's got decent dribble six and he is good at attacking the rim. He can just do a little bit of everything. That's why he's at number 2 on my list. At number 1, Paul George. It's pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. Paul George is 6'8" compared to Brandon Roy and MJ, who are both 6'6". Other than that, the cards are so similar. I mean, yes, Paul George is different because he's a better shooter than all of them. And even defensively, he's absolutely elite. Paul George is just your best all-around shooting guard. MJ might be a better defender. Brandon Roy might be better offensively. But when you look at the whole package, name me a more complete shooting guard. I just don't think you can do it. Paul George, 6'8", 6'11" wingspan, 93 ball, 88 speed, 90 lateral quickness, great speed ball, and a great driving dunk. There's just no flaws with the card. Gold limitless, Hall of Fame, posterizer blinders, hyperdrive, clamps, interceptor, and off-ball pass. There's no other more complete shooting guard in my team. Paul George's release this year is better than last year. I'm not just going to sit here and gas it because I don't necessarily think his release is the best, but it is decent enough to use. From top to bottom, I do think he's your most complete shooting guard in the game. Now, can you argue MJ's better than him? Absolutely. Can you argue Brandon Roy is better than him? Absolutely. You could even make the argument Devon Booker is better than him. You could make that argument because of how good Devon Booker is offensively. But I think from the outside looking in, as far as the full picture, Paul George is overall your best shooting guard in my team. So let's say you just got my team, you just got 2K today and you want to build the best squad. I would 100% recommend getting Paul George over Michael Jordan. Why? He's going to last a week longer before his price starts dropping. Number 2, he's cheaper. And number 3, the Michael Jordan 50,000 MT challenge is gone. So definitely, if I was to buy a shooting guard today, it would be Paul George over Michael Jordan. That's going to wrap it up for our video today, guys. Let me know your thoughts on PG-13 down below in the comments. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.